I'm still very much on a learning curve with this bike, but I've discovered on the b50.org site, which again is really good. Loads of stuff on there. I haven't read through all of it yet, but one of the technical tips is to take off the drain plug on the oil in the frame oil tank and replace it with an adapter and put a tube that comes down and is teed into the tube that feeds the pump from the strainer on the front of the fork. Sorry, front of the frame. So down here is the proper, as it were, factory feed to the oil pump coming through the strainer at the bottom of the frame. But the modification is to add an additional oil feed from the drain plug down into a T adapter and into the oil pump intake, because it does seem crazy when I first saw it. I thought this is bonkers. The frame, the oil is stored in the frame and obviously drawn off as we've just talked about, but this whole section of the frame sort of down here is below the level of the feed to the front down tube. So oil in the back of the frame, so from here onwards, is just going to sit there doing nothing. I suppose there'll be some mixing just by vibration and sort of general osmosis, but yeah, it does seem pretty stupid. So whoever had this bike before has obviously made this modification and fitted an extra feed from the back of the frame. So, because the downside is it's not going through the strainer, but at least it's gently pulling oil through the frame rather than it just taking it from the front and this lot sitting here stagnant. Another halfway house modification I've seen is to fit a kind of an adapter in here, a tube in here, so that as oil comes back to the tank via this return pipe, it squirts in here, and on this bike it just drops everywhere, so back down there and down the front tube to the takeoff point. What people have done is fit a tube in here so that the oil can't just drop straight back down the front tube essentially. Instead it gets forced back around here and through this bracing tube and hence down into the tank. So I say it doesn't help fix the problem of stagnant oil back down the right, the rear of the frame down here, but it does at least stop it just going straight down and not even coming into this part of the frame. So this bike doesn't have that modification. I've just had a good look in here and it looks to be standard up the front. So the previous user has just made this additional takeoff at the back as a change, which is better anyway, I think. Apart from the loss of the strainer, it's going to be more effective in getting the oil circulating properly. Be interesting to see what other modifications there are. I still haven't quite got to the bottom of this breather down here. There's an article that talks about timing side breathing being connected to the primary side. I wonder if that's what that is, but I haven't got to the bottom of that yet. It seems strange that one should just be open to atmosphere as a short tube. Maybe it's blocked on the inside, but I guess it's not good if it's sucking dust and stuff into the timing side. I've just been cleaning up this breather pipe and cleaning out the filter at the end, but I noticed that the tube that goes into the primary chain case has obviously hit something. I guess it's dropped in and hit the primary chain, and it's bent the end over and sort of rubbed a bit off the edge. So yeah, I don't know how that was originally attached in the chain case. I'm thinking that I'll use some Loctite. I'll give it a good clean with some methylated spirits or something. isopropyl alcohol perhaps, and see if I can't stick it in with some Loctite 5910 silicon sealant, which is quite high modulus and has worked well for me in the past. So yeah, the only other thing, there's a bit of duct tape wrapped around this end, which just kept this snugly into this P clamp. So I'll probably do something other than that. I'll find a bit of rubber sheeting, maybe even something like this. This is silicon. A bit of that perhaps wrapped around there might just do the job. Good. So I've just undone this Jubilee clip and oops, there you go. Pull this hose off. The hose isn't brilliant, but it's not too bad. And nothing's coming out, so I guess there's some oil on it, but no oil pulling out. So I'll check that this line is clear and that this one is as well. I might even put some oil in, see whether it trickles out. I just want to make sure the circuit is sound before I think about starting it up. While I'm here, I'm just trying to lubricate some of the cables. This is the clutch cable. The way I've found works well for me, at least, is to just use a plastic bag, a very strong polythene bag with a zip tie around it, onto the cable. I'll cut the corner off, put it over the cable, put a zip tie on, and just stick some oil in it, and I'll leave that overnight. With a bit of luck, the oil will start to appear from the other end. I'll do the front brake as well before long. So I've actually got a gasket on order for the sump plate, but rather than wait for that to arrive, I'm just going to make one out of a bit of gasket paper. Let's just try a ball peen hammer on this, see what it does. Good, so it's got the holes marked. Sometimes you can just cut it with a hammer against the original part. Along this edge, for instance, it'd be quite easy to just tap along there with a hammer and it would cut the gasket. It's a good way of getting them precise. But with these small holes, it's not going to work. Yeah, looks pretty good. The clutch lever is a bit dodgy. I've just taken it off to get the cable off so I can lubricate it. But so the screw isn't in the best of condition. But it seems to be M6, which is a bit of a surprise. Checking it with this gauge. M7, M6. I was assuming it would be a 1/4 inch. Unified perhaps. And that's 1/4 inch 20 TPI, which is very coarse. Too coarse. That's 1/4 inch 28. And that doesn't fit either. So yeah, it does seem to be M6. Okay, that thread seems okay. This screw is pretty knackered. I think I might try and find a stainless screw. That's quite bent actually as well. At least this end is slightly bent. Looks like it's been knocked downwards sometime. Okay. yeah, that'll do. Got a nylock nut as well, so that'll be better than this old one. I've just been cleaning up the bash plate, which is actually quite nicely done. It's obviously not the original part. Someone has cobbled it together, but they've made a pretty good job of it. It's 3mm thick steel, so quite robust. And the main sheet has obviously been bent in this direction, but it's also been cut and sort of pleated around here. There's some welds across to cover the primary chain case front end, and there's a piece let in here as well, a little sort of moon-shaped piece. And then there's this square section reinforcement that bridges across the frame tubes. So I guess this center section is supported by the frame tubes. On the back, rather than the kind of hooks on the standard plate, it's got these holes which I think must fit in the center stand mounting points on the frame. So yeah, pretty good. It's quite heavy as well, but I'll paint it up and put it to one side for now. Put it back on once things are running and take it from there. Right, so I've painted the bash plate. So pretty substantial and quite heavy, but that's good. I'll put that back on eventually. Won't be going on for some time, I don't think. But also, while I was here, checked out that this missing screw, the two screws at the front. This one was okay, but this one was missing, and I thought it might be either broken off or the thread was damaged. But having run a tap down it, it's fine. It's 1/4 inch UNF, 28 TPI, and so it's fine. So I managed to find another 1/4 inch screw from my general bits and pieces, so that's ready to go back in as well. Meanwhile, I did actually try and start the bike just now and failed dismally. I mean, there's fuel now, and the carburetor is all rebuilt, but no dice. There seems to be a spark, but it's not very strong, so it could be that it's dying when under compression. But either that or the timing's way out. So I'll check the timing. The other thing which I've realised, which I should have realised before probably, is that the clutch is completely solid. So I'm assuming that the plates have just stuck together. Maybe a bit of rust or just age. That would explain why the clutch lever is so stiff. But I'm going to have to take the primary chain case off and just check out what's going on there. So that's the next job. Maybe have a chance of bump starting it if I can't start it on the kickstart. Anyway, I'll do that first. I'll check the timing as well and take it from there. At least the tank seems to be petrol tight. The only other minor point is that that this snapped off. The other tap's fine, but this one, as soon as I tried to work it, it just broke off. So something else to replace. Right, slowly but surely. Thanks for watching.